Okay, everybody, welcome to AstroTalk and Tea Capricorn season. This is the last AstroTalk and Tea of 2020 because we are about to embark on a new year. Hallelujah, thank God for that. But I do want to finish the year strong talking about Capricorn season and what we can be looking at for the next couple weeks. So Capricorn season began on December 21st this year and it will run until January 19th. So generally speaking, let's talk about some characteristics of Capricorn energy. This energy is all about mastery. It's about excelling. It's about working really hard, doing the step-by-step work that's needed, and not giving up to achieve the goals that you've set. Capricorn is a very goal-oriented sign. This energy of this sign is connected to authority, being the authority on something, authority figures. It's about being the expert on something. The archetype of Capricorn energy, you can think of the CEO of the company. You can think of the principal in a school, any type of archetype that is in control and in charge and is the authority on something. That's the type of vibes that Capricorn energy brings with it. Capricorn energy is very tied to tradition, kind of respecting the way things have always been done. Capricorn energy is very much about duty, about responsibility. Capricorns, they're so strong. They have a ton of strength, a lot of personal fortitude. The energy is definitely more serious. It's less frivolous. It's not super lighthearted. But Capricorns, God love them. People with strong Capricorn energy in their charts, they are out there holding it down for the rest of us. I always think about in an emergency type of situation where myself included and many other people would be totally losing their mind. A Capricorn is just cool, calm, and collected. It's there's a house fire. Capricorn has already found the random fire extinguisher, tried to put out the fire, called the fire department, they're on it. And that's one of the really beautiful things about Capricorn energy. It's so stable, it's very in control, it's very calm and centered and focused. Additionally, an interesting thing about Capricorn energy, people who are born with a lot of this in their personal charts, there's a saying that, they're old when they're young and they get younger as they age. So if you know any children with strong Capricorn energy, they might be a little more serious, a little more focused, very responsible as compared to maybe some of their other siblings. But then as Capricorn children get older and they have more life experiences and they gain more wisdom, they start to realize it's okay to let go of control. They don't always have to be the best at something. They don't always have to be striving and achieving and working hard. Having fun for fun's sake is equally as important. So if you know any strongly Capricorn-y people in your life, it would be interesting if you feel that holds true for them. Additionally, when we look at emotions, Capricorn is definitely not emotionally driven or motivated. They can appear a little emotionally cool, actually. And so sometimes the joke is that Capricorns, do they even have emotions? And the answer is yes, absolutely. They do have emotions, even though they may not be as upfront about showing and or expressing what those emotions are. I think the other thing too is as I mentioned before, Capricorn energy is such a strong support system for everyone else around them that sometimes their own emotions take a back seat to everything else that's going on. So I think as Capricorns get older and gain more wisdom, they start to recognize the value in getting more in touch with their emotions and being more comfortable with feeling and expressing and connecting from an emotional kind of heart-centered place. Additionally, Capricorn's energy is great with money, finances. They have a lot of financial savvy. They're extremely practical people. Capricorns make excellent leaders. The one thing I will say is they don't tend to have a lot of patience, and sometimes they don't have a lot of patience for people who aren't on the ball like they are. But I think if Capricorns can realize that it is very difficult to be like them, not everyone has those natural abilities, then they start to soften a little, and that's when they can really become these very encouraging leaders, helping people to strive and to work hard and to set goals and achieve their goals, all that good stuff. And I think, Capricorns tend to feel most adept working within a structured environment or an organization. They typically tend to be pretty comfortable with hierarchy and things that are have clearly defined boundaries and kind of working within that. That tends to be something that is in their realm a lot of the time, depending on what else is in their personal charts, of course. So those are some of the awesome characteristics of Capricorn energy. Now, we always talk about what happens when a sign is out of balance, because when we're expressing the higher vibration of a sign, and then sometimes we're expressing the lower vibration, and that's life, right? We tend to bounce between the two. So when Capricorn energy is out of balance, they can become very serious workaholics. So they need to recognize that developing all dimensions of their life is equally important. Work is not the end all be all. We work to live, we don't live to work. It's a good mantra to remember to keep Capricorn energy in balance. I think secondly, Capricorns, they're so good at just achieving whatever they set their minds to, and they work hard and they never give up, and they can totally get there wherever they want to go. But I think sometimes Capricorns can get caught up in the material things. They become a little too materialistic, a little too concerned with status or their image out in the world. And again, none of those three things is bad in and of themselves, but I think when we take that to the extreme, that's when it can create a little bit of a problem. So Capricorns need to remember that, yes, material things and promotions and, a better image in the community, those are all great rewards for the hard work that they've put in. However, those aren't the only rewards that matter. And ultimately, if we're only striving for external things, sometimes that can leave us feeling empty and unfulfilled. So also learning to strive for things that are a little less tangible, a little more internal, that can help to bring a balance to that and a little bit more, I think, satisfaction all around. And then lastly, the other thing I think when Capricorn energy is out of balance, they can actually be emotionally insecure because, connecting on an emotional level maybe isn't the way that they might naturally first interact in different situations. So sometimes if they feel that emotional insecurity, then they just withdraw. And I think that's where maybe sometimes the stereotype of them being emotionally cold or distant can come from. And so, recognizing that, learning how to, as I mentioned a couple minutes ago, getting in touch with their own emotions and engaging with their own and other people's emotions, even though it's messy and time consuming and doesn't seem practical and may not seem like it's helping them to achieve any goals that they want to achieve, it's still really worthwhile. And that would be a good exercise if someone feels like their Capricorn is out of balance in that particular way. So those are some of the general characteristics of Capricorn in and out of balance. But even if you don't have strong Capricorn in your personal astrology chart, we're all floating in the Capricorn energy from now all the way through January 19th. So we really want to use this energy to its fullest. And I think the first thing that we can all be doing right now is to make goals for 2021. Now, when I say this, I'm not talking about a vision boarding session necessarily. I'm not talking about dreamy ideas and what is it that you imagine? That's really good, but it's almost better to do that stuff in Pisces season. Right now in Capricorn season, I want you to set goals, which are, they can be both short and long term, but things that are realistic and actually achievable in 2021, or at least to get the ball rolling in 2021. And once you set these goals, there might be sub goals and there might be little steps underneath that for what are the things you can do? What are the steps you're going to take to actually, bring this goal to completion, to manifestation in the year 2021? So again, that Capricorn element of practicality and being realistic and making sure there's things we can do to work hard and tick the box and achieve those goals those are the type of things I would encourage you to think about and to write down as we transition from 2020 into the new year. Going hand in hand with that, and this one's maybe not very sexy, but I think during these next couple weeks of Capricorn season, it's really important to set a budget for 2021. Reason being, we know Capricorn energy can be connected to finances. And I think it would be really good for us all to take a look at where we're at. What did our spending look like in 2020? What happened with our job situations, our income? Has it changed? What's going on with any loans that we might have or outstanding money that we owe? Just taking a look at the big picture of that, and then setting some goals for 2021 in terms of like, what are our spending goals? What are our goals for saving? Do we have goals connected to donations or charitable contributions? What are our goals for investing? What's the plan that we have for, paying down credit cards or paying back student loans or other, car payments, other things we might have. So again, even though maybe that doesn't sound wildly exciting, the energy of this time is really supportive of that kind of thinking, that kind of planning. So I would highly encourage you to dive into some of that here in the next couple weeks. Thirdly, I want us all during this time to reflect on our expertise. So what is it that you are an expert at? Where do you excel? Are you the authority figure or an authority figure in some realm? If so, then how can you leverage that a little bit more in 2021? How can you leverage that at work? How can you leverage that maybe through your side hustle or other businesses that you're involved in, through charity work or other projects that you do? How can you bring your expertise to the fore? And then I think the flip side of that is if you reflect on this and you realize like, okay, I'm not really an expert in something, but I really want to be an expert, then what can you do to get there? Is it, are you going to study or like mentor with someone? Are you going to enroll in a course? Are you going to try to gain more experience through an internship or something along those lines? So just thinking about that idea of expertise and where you're at with that and where you'd like to go. And then lastly, what we can all be doing in these next couple weeks is really like taking pleasure in our work. And again, maybe that doesn't sound like super fun and exciting, but actually how exciting and great would it be to reconnect with joy in your workplace? Whether you work in the home, you're running your household, you're raising your children, whether you work at a job outside your home, it was a wonk year in 2020. And some of us might be like, I'm so over whatever my work is. But how can we find the joy in a job well done, in working really hard on a project and bringing it to completion? Maybe can we set mini goals for ourselves at work? Maybe can we build in small little rewards for ourselves when we hit certain benchmarks in the work that we do, etc. So really just like reconnecting with the joy that can come from working hard and achieving something, and the pleasure that's to be found really in a job well done. So taking some time to try to connect with that energy could be really nice. Moving on to healing modalities, there's a couple crystals or stones I would recommend working with during Capricorn season, kind of for various reasons. The first one is black onyx, and this one's really good when that Capricorn energy is in overdrive, because it really helps us to balance all of our, like the external demands on our time and our efforts with rest and ease and stillness. So if you feel like your Capricorn is like way in overdrive, black onyx would be a good one to meditate with, to carry around with you, to help you remember that like, yes, you do have duties and responsibilities and work that you need to get done. However, balancing that with rest helps you to actually be your most productive. Second stone I would recommend is purple fluorite. And this stone is really helpful for like structured and centered thinking. And as we engage with Capricorn energy in this season, we really want to be centered and focused. Additionally, purple fluorite can really help with healing the body structure. So Capricorn energy is very connected to the bones, the teeth, kind of our skeletal structure in our physical bodies. So if there's any healing that you need to be done within your physical structure, purple fluorite can be a great stone to work with for that. And then lastly, apatite. And I think this stone is typically like a blue-green. This one kind of connects to the purple fluorite topics, but it's about focus, it's about concentration, it's about like upping our problem solving and having like more cohesive thoughts. And I think all of those will help us to, with all of our planning and goal setting, etc., coming up for 2021. In terms of your practices, like body movement practices, whether you are into yoga or dance or working out, etc., you know, we talked about how Capricorn is about, you know, working hard, not giving up, starting with small steps and crushing it one by one to ultimately get you to the goal or the place that you want to be. And I think the same thing could be said for our movement practices, where if you're like me, you know, it's kind of like the holiday season, it's dark, it's cold, you're lazy after work, you might be out of your routine. And so I want you to set a realistic, that's the important word there, you know, goal for yourself. Okay, I want to work out twice a week or 3 times a week or whatever it is. And, you know, keep in mind that if you don't do it one day or you have to skip something one week, like Capricorn doesn't give up, okay? So kind of use that earthy energy to keep going, to keep moving forward, even if your yoga was abbreviated, even if you only did 15 minutes, even if you were supposed to do it Wednesday, but you ended up doing it Saturday, like that's okay. Just keep going and you'll build back into your practices, whatever those are for you. And then I think lastly, with meditation, you know, Capricorn is like no frills. So if you're doing these meditations that are like abstract and highly mystical and spiritual, Capricorn energy is like, what is that? So make your meditations focused on something practical. A guided meditation for falling asleep, a guided meditation for calming anxiety, a guided meditation for helping to focus your thinking. All those would be great ones to try over these next couple weeks. So that being said, we've looked at kind of the overarching stuff that's coming up in this season. Now let's dive into the astrology with our last couple minutes here. So first thing we're going to encounter is a full moon in Cancer happens late on December 29th. Like I think it's, you know, 9:30 at night Central Time or something like that. And this is going to happen at 8 degrees of Cancer. So this is very cool to me because you know, full moons don't always happen at the same time every month or in every season. And I think it's really cool and coincidental that we get a full moon right before the calendar year changes. Full moons are a time of culmination, of celebration, of letting go, of enjoying the fullness of what was and then starting to move out of that. And I think it's just perfect timing. Like we're really going to get to release everything that we don't want to carry into 2021 from this shitstorm of 2020. So it's interesting. Chiron is squaring the full moon here. So I think on the day of December 29th, like we are definitely going to feel our wounds from 2020. Those are going to come to the forefront for us in different ways. It could be just you think about it. It could be an external situation happens that reminds you of that. But kind of collectively looking at our wounding, and I think we're going to feel sensitive. We're going to feel tender on those days. And so I would just recommend at the time of the full moon, December 29th, December 30th, like if you feel that sensitivity, like totally honor those emotions and be present with them. And instead of projecting them out or kind of lashing out, can we channel that tenderness into reflection, into being more contemplative, okay? You know, we have Uranus and the moon making a nice aspect, so kind of shaking us out of our emotional comfort zone. And I think we have the potential to get some nice emotional insight if we're willing to like get quiet and really connect with our innermost selves. In addition, since this full moon is in Cancer, you know, I want us to have personal celebration of all those Cancer themes. So celebrating the ways that we've honored our true emotions this year. celebrating the ways that we made our homes a little more cozy or beautiful or supportive, celebrating the ways in which, celebrating all the things that our family lineage has given us and our connection to our family and what that means for us, both the good and the bad. Celebrating the ways that we learned how to be vulnerable. Cancer is the sign of the crab, hard shell on the outside, but very soft and gooey on the inside. So, how did we step into our emotional vulnerability this year, and can we celebrate and honor that at this full moon? I think great things to do at the full moon are definitely journaling. I have this feeling of a big sigh, like, I want you to do some like shoulder action with that. Inhale, shrugging the shoulders up to the ears. Exhale out of your mouth. Let everything drop. I think that's going to feel really good at this full moon. And like crying, totally. Let yourself cry. Cry it all out. Cry for everything that happened in 21, the good and the bad, or 21, in 2020, I meant. The good and the bad. Those are all some great practices to engage in at this full moon in Cancer that we're going to have on December 29th. After that, January 6th, brief mention, Mars is finally moving into a new sign. It's moving out of Aries and into Taurus. It was in Aries for 6 months because we had that retrograde. That is a long effing time for Mars to be in one sign. So it's going to be good that we're moving into some fresh energy here. I think, when we move from Aries to Taurus, I think things are going to calm a little bit. I think a lot of that like aggression and that like very hot anger that a lot of people have been feeling for a myriad of different reasons in 2020, like some of that will start to dissipate a little bit, which will be a nice change. Now, however, as Mars moves into Taurus, we should be putting more energy into creating solid and stable foundations for ourselves. We should be putting energy into looking at what we value and also valuing ourselves, like putting more energy into building our self-esteem, building our self-worth and our confidence. I think we should put more focus on caring for ourselves. Taurus is all about self-care, caring for ourselves, caring for the earth. Taurus is so deeply connected with the earth and the history and the roots here, but also like caring for others. I think that's just like needs to be one of the biggest themes of this Mars in Taurus. And it's not going to automatically play out that way, but I think we have the choice to allow it to play out that way. One thing though, one caveat is like with Mars and Taurus, we will definitely collectively be feeling more stubborn. I think especially if you are someone who tends to have a more stubborn personality, just watch out that you don't dig your heels in unnecessarily. Mars and Taurus, it's just keeping in mind for all of us, this is a message for every person on earth right now, like we can often be right about many things, but we're not right about everything. So I think it's really important when Mars goes into Taurus that we're able to also keep a somewhat open mind about things. And now, because this video is so long, I'm realizing we'll get to the last thing. The last thing I want to talk about is the new moon that we're going to have in Capricorn on January 12th. This is going to be at 23 degrees of Capricorn at the very end of the day on January 12th Central Time. This one's going to be kind of a big one. I tend to see this playing out more on the global stage. I think it's no coincidence that this is happening, like a week before the inauguration, and I just see a lot of intensity that I think will correlate with external events. But when we're looking at this personally, because that's really what we want to focus on in this video, the new moon is in Capricorn. There's several planets in Capricorn and a couple in Taurus at this new moon. So it's very earth heavy, kind of echoing those themes from 2020, which were not always pleasant, I know. But a new moon is a time to set intentions. It's a time to get a new cycle rolling, but we have to remember it's also a time to close something out so that there is room for something new to grow from there. So I feel like we're going to be closing out that heavy earth energy, of like government and structure and authority and all these themes that have been really playing out on the grand stage in 2020. It's slowly going to be time to close that out and open something new. But, it's interesting. Pluto is going to be right with this new moon, which means like, I think some of us are going to be feeling very powerful emotions, especially if you have planets near like 23, 24 degrees of Capricorn, Aries, Libra, or Cancer. So if powerful emotions are rising up from your subconscious around January 12th and you are feeling triggered and you're like, oh my God, something is rearing its ugly head out of me, just take a step back, journal everything out. You know, never try to push down your feelings, but I'm gonna also ask you to try not to go on the offensive. Like, try to take a step back, because first you need to process whatever is coming up for you before you should take any other like external action. I do think there's going to be definitely some inner tension. Like, we might feel internally some push-pull between like what we value, what we've been used to for a long time, what feels comfortable for us, but then like what we're moving into collectively in the future as we go forward. And we might feel like those things don't fit together for us, and that's okay. You know, just notice what you're feeling, notice the thoughts that come up, and we will be able to find some internal resolution to that. It just might feel a little tough in those couple days around January 12th. I think collectively too, like, we might encounter some illusions about both our past and the direction that we're moving. So we might have rose-colored glasses about the past was so much better, the way things used to be was so much better. We might come to find that that was an illusion. But then also, if we have rose-colored glasses about the future, everything will be fixed and perfect as we move forward, like, we need to stay realistic about that as well. So I think, generally speaking, the new moon on January 12th can be potentially like a confusing and frustrating time. And I don't say that to scare, no one should be scared of that. I think it's just, I want you to focus on your sphere. You know, focus on using your personal power to affect positive change in the external environment. And that's what I think your intentions for this new moon should be focused on. Like, how can you use everything you got to create something positive? All right, so thank you guys so much for being with me in this super long video. Sorry that took forever. There's a lot to say though. You can always reach out to me if you're looking for a 2021 forecast. I'm offering those for $30 right now through the end of January. Get in touch with me, Kelsey@theastroyogi.com, or on Instagram, _astro_yogi. Thanks for joining me. Have a great Capricorn season.